I use they, them pronouns. I'm a muralist in town and an aspiring artist. I also organize the Heartside Mural Project and the Pleasant Peninsula Art and Activism Fair, both of which are just about going on right now. So, yeah, between murals and organizing and then being in the woods as much as I can.
And I'm Paige, pronouns she, her. I work under the business name Daydreams by Paige. I love anything floral, colorful, and playful. And I've been creating for about 2 years full time, so still feeling like I'm figuring things out.
Also, that's not just our trio's microphone.
Hello. Mic check. All right, my name is Edwin Anderson, born and raised here in Grand Rapids. I'm also a local artist here. I do large-scale murals, paintings, design works as well. Let's see. I do community events as well. So with one of the events that me and a co-founder of mine put together is One Piece Hip Hop Fest, free community event for the community over in the southeast side of town. We try to bring everyone together and have a great time. Let's see. So like I do events, and I mean, just a young artist, growing, learning, and enjoying this journey of life. And moving forward, right?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Arturo Morales, and I was born in Mexico, raised in California, and I moved to North Carolina in 2000 and moved to Michigan in 2014, and I have been here painting for almost 5 years. I am a muralist, and I'm not afraid of the size of the walls. So I just go and paint on it. And I'm a member of the Mexican Heritage Association. And what I do with them is I'm in charge of the arts, which I work more with the kids. I teach them how to paint. And the reason why I want to do this is because I always wanted to start a teen mural club, just like I was in Visalia. That's how I learned how to paint murals. And it has been a challenge. But at this moment, well, I'm working with Maddie, and it has been very interesting. And the way that I paint is I usually get a theme, and from those themes, I do research, and from that, I come up with the designs. So, like I said, I'm not afraid of the size of the walls or any design. And I am very happy to be here with all of you, and thank you.
So I think the first thing I want to know about is the first time that you took it on, you know. Okay, so like, what is it like going from something like a 16 by 20 canvas to something that is like massive and highly visible? And then what is it like to kind of step back and kind of take in what you've done?
The most important part is to pretend that you've done it before. Don't tell anyone it's your first one. But the first really big one that I did in town was on the back of Brewery Levant. I did that with the After Dark project with Lions and Rabbits, and I really don't think that they knew it was the first time I'd done this because they shouldn't have given me that wall. It was a tough wall to do, and I also did like a silo and accidentally became the guy who paints silos in town. And somebody else like got me to paint another silo, so I don't know. It was a whole thing. But scaling up is, I think, just kind of like a matter of deciding that you're gonna be more of a house painter than like a actual painter. And I always tell people it's a lot more of a blue collar job than like some fine art stuff. I like that about it. I love getting sunburns and being up high.
What about you, Ed?
All right, so interesting, but first, it can be very intimidating, especially when you first look at a large wall, like versus like a canvas. You like, oh yeah, I got this. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I've done this a million times. But then when you see that artwork, and then you see the wall, you're like, what did I put myself in? You know what I mean? Like you're looking at it, it's like, this is unreal. But I think, even when I did my first mural, and I think for me, my first mural, because it was with like a group of students, so there was 2 challenges. It was 1, doing a mural, 2, doing it with kids. So trying to organize and how to facilitate the creative, because we created the artwork together, which was an amazing thing. And then second was just like finding different layouts or different pieces of how we're all gonna like do this piece together. But like looking at the scale, it's a whole lot of like stepping back. Like you step back from that mural at least like 15 times, like more than that, 30 times. You gotta step back, look like, okay, no, that nose don't look right. Let's go back in. But it's fun. I think one of the things about being an artist is that like we are problem solvers. So it's like when we get into something, we will figure it out. A lot of it is pre-planning ahead of time, and then also just like reaching out to, or just like doing like a lot of research and learning ahead of time. Even like we were just saying before, when you first get into it, it's like you gotta be confident. You gotta be like, oh, I've been here before. Knowing dang well you wasn't there before. But yeah, so like the confidence is definitely something that helps push you to make you to get you going. But acquiring the skills definitely helps ahead of time, and then also just learning the many different ways of how to go about it. What helps out a lot for us as artists is using the doodle grid, or you may use the traditional grid, the layout, trying to figure out. You always look at the dimensions, and when you create artwork too, you also create artwork to fit the scale of what you're looking for, and not just like, all right, I got this beautiful art piece. Let's find a wall to put it on. You know what I mean? All right, I'm done.
Cool. Arturo, what is it about like mural artwork that kind of keeps you excited and coming back?
For me, painting mural is addicted. Especially when it has to do with colors. For some reason, expressing myself with very bright colors is almost like an addiction that I just want to share with everybody. And you probably have seen my murals. They are very colorful, but yet they are calming, soothing. What I have learned is that art, mural, is like a weapon that we can use for to get everybody together and say, boom, like here it is. It's something that is very attractive, and it doesn't matter if it's like for a person that is economically well or not very well, or mentally ill or not mentally ill. It's for everybody. It's something that is pretty much like a dream for a lot of people to see. And that is what brings me back to paint those murals. And the larger, the better, because people can see them from very, very far away. And we can see them very, very close away. And which is, sometimes is a challenge, especially the surface, because we have to deal with the surface. And the scale, well, I don't know, for some reason I have not had that problem with where we have to paint with a grid system, or I just go and paint on it.
That's wild.
That's not normal.
imagine if we were all normal. It will be boring. But that is to me, it's very addictive to paint a mural. And that's why I always come back to paint murals. And if somebody asks me, say, oh, do this, and I said, okay. But it's fun. I like doing it. And especially because every time that as an artist, we all know, every time that we do a project, a mural, always something happens, which keeps it interesting. And we always have to come up with new solutions. It's not just about getting a brush and start painting. No, a lot of times we have to engineer our own techniques and skills. We have to modify a lot of time our skills depending on the weather, surface, paint, and colors. So, like myself, for example, whenever I paint, I mix my colors while I'm painting on the surface. And I see most of the artists, they mix their color on a palette. So, and like Maddie said, it's true, that's not normal. So, and that's just something, and the hottest, if it's hot outside, I love painting when it's hot. Especially, but I have seen other artists that when they are painting when it's hot outside, they're melting. I said, man, they are gonna become part of the mural. But that's what I mean, and I love interacting with the people, especially with the kids. Like I stated before, I am in the Mexican Heritage Association, and I love working with the kids because they are the next generation of artists. We all know that when we are born, we are artists, we are muralists. And I know that because my kids, they like to paint on the walls. But somehow society will change our mindset, and then we become attorneys. Teachers, judges, all those everybody will become something, but most of those people forget how to be artists. So, and for some reason, like myself, I'm the only one in my family who's an artist, and I'm the only one that is kind of out of the family because they don't understand whenever I'm and I believe that we have the same challenge. But whenever I see people very happy, especially now that I'm working over here at Division, for some reason, I feel that's the area where all the reject humans are at. And it's sad to see that, but I love when those reject humans from society stop and gather in groups and appreciate the colors. And for one moment in their life, they forget about what they are going through. And that's why I love to paint murals, and that's why I always go back to paint murals.
I love that.
I feel like it kind of goes off of what he was saying. The conversation in the community that I feel like you build while you're creating is what keeps me coming back. I have found myself in a lot of conversations with people experiencing new things and just pushing myself to, be more social and to maybe not put my headphones in all the time so that I can have the opportunity to speak with the community and answer questions. And I also love the concept of when you get to be that vessel of creativity for a client and the joy that you get to see them experience when you're telling them that you finished a project, or even just someone that is in the neighborhood comes by and like, oh my gosh, did you just finish this? Those are the moments that keep me going, as well as like the unpredictable moments where it challenges you to grow. I think that's huge because that is what being creative is all about.
think we're really, really lucky because this city is just crawling with beautiful murals. And I think probably a large part to you guys. Yeah. But they're not always just like pretty paintings, right? Like sometimes they have to say something. So let's talk substance. All right. So how do you hope your work plays into larger conversations? And what does the intersection of art and activism look like for you?
Okay. So I think that what Arturo and Paige touched on just a second ago with the accessibility of murals is like one of the core tenets of why we do what we do, where with mural work and public art in general, there's no dress code to get into the gallery, there's no entrance fee, there's not a lot of reading that you have to do or any specific language that you have to speak, or it's just like available for anyone who is interested in encountering it. And that being said, as a pretty radically accessible medium, I do think that we still have a pretty big responsibility as muralists to recognize the role that mural work can play in gentrification. There's a lot of cities that have shipped in a ton of like international and nationwide artists, and they end up painting a whole bunch of walls in a low-income area, and then all of a sudden there's a juice bar, and everyone has to move out and can't afford the neighborhood anymore. I think that murals can either accelerate that process or be a really great defense mechanism against it. And being intentional with how you create and which neighborhood you're working with and what the neighborhood needs from you instead of you just serving yourself is like top of the line most important for me when I'm making stuff. Because with the Heartside mural project that Arturo and I are working on, and Edwin's worked on it too, we are trying hard to put up stories in Heartside, historic stories of where our neighborhood comes from, who are the people who have made it what it is, what are the buildings' histories, what is Grand Rapids' histories, what are the stories of untold communities. And to be able to put those up on a wall gives the neighborhood some more ownership of our own history. It gives us a better sense of community, a better sense of place, better landmarks, etc. And that's a project that I'm super, super proud of because it feels like a really intentional way to give back to a community instead of just, throwing up a huge mural on a wall and being like,
Anybody?
All right, so one more time. Basically, we're talking about paying artists for what they're worth and that exposure isn't always everything type of thing.
Yeah. How do we fix that?
That's a really great question. I feel like, especially as us artists, when we do come together, because artists, I feel like we all should have a nice and a nice solid community. You know what I mean? Having a group of people where you can always come to, talk to, and especially when there's important conversations need to be said and communicated with, so that we can always come out together, united as one, and be able to speak on certain things that needs to be spoken on. And so, even when it comes with revolting against organizations, businesses, individuals that want you to create artwork for free, it's uncool, it's not right. It's always been that one thing that people were like, hey, have your artwork in here, it's gonna help bring you recognition or X, Y, and Z, but recognition is not gonna always pay the bills. You know
With
what I
all
mean?
due respect.
Exactly.
Fuck your recognition.
And so it's really just like speaking, it's speaking up, you know what I mean? Speaking up for what you're worth, what you value, knowing what you bring to the table, knowing for the simple fact that like, yo, my artwork is what helped me bring you business to your, you know what I mean, help bringing you revenue at the end of the day, because people want to come through and they enjoy what they see in your space, but yeah, you're not, you know what I'm saying, not showing the same support to the people that's supporting you, which is the artist. And so like when we do come together and be that voice, it definitely helps put in perspective and put them in position to feel like, okay, it's time for us to start supporting.
Yeah.
Them to start supporting us.
Yeah, I think that one of the best things about mural work in this city is that we have a really cool network of muralists, and I feel like, I don't know how the other fields are, but we all really do have each other's backs. And there was kind of an awesome thing that happened a few months ago where like pretty much we're all on the same email list, and if there's like a call that's going out or whatever, it's all the same faces pretty much. And there was one that went out a few months ago that was severely underpaying, and we got a reply all. Shouts out to my boy Guillermo, Asthma Speaks. He was like, with all due respect, reply all, every single muralist in the city. This is what like a starting rate is, and this is absolutely unfair. And like that kind of speaking up is so important, especially for younger artists or emerging artists who don't have a good sense yet of like, you know, what is this shit worth? And to be able to all kind of like unionize in a way is a huge help. And that's where like our community, I think we really hold each other in check and make sure that, you know, when we all come together as a big collective and say like, no dude, like concert tickets that I have to pay taxes on anyways aren't gonna cut it. Then, you know, shit changes. And I do think that there are circumstances in which like you're working for like your local library or a nonprofit or something. That's a different conversation than working with like a big music venue or a big chain or something like that. Where like, you know, I've done murals where somebody owns a small business and is like, oh, I could pay $200 out of the drawer once in a while. And I'm like, great. That sounds good. But then, you know, I get a job from a big chain corporation the same year, and I'm like, oh, no. You're paying full price. So being able to also know, like, being able to charge what you're worth in order that you can cut deals to the people who matter and to the people who are doing good work in your community. That's also where I feel like being in with it with other muralists and being in communication with the art community is so helpful. Where it's like we can get paid for the big projects so that we can do the work that we actually want to do. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree on that. And I just feel like the starving artist stigma is so dead. Like, this is a career. We're out here busting our asses. Blood, sweat, and tears on walls, in public spaces. We're in the elements. We're going through.
Gross.
It's so gross. It's so blue-collar work. It's so sweaty. It's so nasty. And, like, we really are also pouring everything that we have into it. It's also our love and our passion. And so how often do you get all of that? You know, we're busting our ass and we really, really care about it. So pay us, especially when you know you can afford it. Like, come on now. It's just so disrespectful. And yeah, I think being able to have that great community with each other where we're like putting out the warnings, like, this is a trap, do not fall into it, is so helpful because it does look shiny and great on the outside. And like at the very least, also the one, it was like, you don't even want us to put our names on it. we can't even sign our name. Like, that's our identity. You can't take that from us. Yeah.
Yeah, especially you paying very little for it too.
Yeah. Concert ticket. So I don't want to go.
Yeah, also, you know what I mean, piggyback what you're saying, the conditions, man, when I tell you my last mural I was working on, so many spiders. So my goodness. You know what I mean, brushing them, and all of a sudden, like, an hour later, they all come back united. I said,
I might talk maybe for everybody, but I have run into the situation where I have come into agreement with the customer, and they'll show me the wall, and I'll have done the design and everything. I have done it, and they'll look at it, and then they'll go out for 2 or 3 hours, and then when they come back, they see the mural done, and they don't want to pay the full amount. The first thing that they will say, "That didn't took you that long. Why should I pay you the full price?" And I just look at them. I said, "It did took me long. I've been painting for 37 years." Just to make your mural, 37 years. And then, and that's another thing too, is we don't, a lot of times people do not understand that we have, some of us, we have become fast, but it's because we have put thousands of hours, and we have learned to master the, like the brush strokes and how to, use the paint. And it's sometimes it does get me like upset when they say that, because especially business, I mean, I even have asked, because I don't have nothing against attorney, but this was an attorney. I mean, I asked him, I said, "How much do you charge per hour?" Nowadays they're charging like 150 just for say their name and that's it. And I said, if I ask you, it only took you like less than 30 minutes to ask me this, and why are you charging the full price? The reason is because, one, you put a lot of time into learning. Second, you went to school. Well, it's the same with us. I mean, that's why we charge like full price. So, and that is kind of upsetting. I don't know if it has happened to you before. And then, one time, it didn't happen here, but it did happen in North Carolina. The gentleman didn't want to pay. It took me like 5 hours to complete the mural, and they didn't want to pay. So then I said, and then he said, "Oh, I'll pay you half." I said, "Okay." So I gotta cover half of the. They want to pay half, they will have half. So, and that's another thing too, is that for some reason I always do it with a smile. They don't see if I'm mad or like I told Maddie yesterday. The good thing is that I believe in love.
So, so good. So, the last question I have before we let these people be part of it, could each of you share the one thing that you want us all to take away from spending this time today? One thing.
I think the way that I got into mural painting was because I was having an existential crisis over whether or not art as like a private practice and a thing that is, in big cities made by rich people for rich people. I got into murals because I wanted to find something that felt equitable and accessible. And it almost seems like in every field there's some way that you can do it that you can stick by your values, and it's hard to see that path forward sometimes. It's like murals are not an easy thing to get into. There's no like starting job that you can get. There's not school for it. But to be able to find a path that makes you feel like you're authentically working in your value system, I think there's a path for that process in every field, and it's just kind of a matter of sniffing it out.
I wrote mine down. I just wanted to tell you all that you are resilient flowers grown through concrete. Keep fighting. Your creativity deserves to be seen and respected, admired and paid for, supported and preserved, honored and funded.
Sheesh. I'm going on top of the head and you came prepared. It was beautiful, well said. Mic drop. I guess one of the things I'll probably say as like any person who wants to get into creating artwork is like always create something that's a passion of yours. There's so many different mediums to work with, whether it's acrylic, oil, spray paint, airbrush, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? There's something out there that's out there for you. You know what I mean? And then like the ways in which how like my process of creating something. And I feel like it works, and I feel like this can work for any person. It's like 3 things that I push. It's like creating something that's aesthetically pleasing, you know, like catching to the eyes. Something that, the second is like, how does it connect? You know what I mean? Create something that connects with people, whether it's representation or something. How can they connect with it? And then third one is like, can they see it in their house, right? Like, I've seen so many beautiful artwork or amazing artistically, done well, where it's like, wow, this person is really good with pen, he's really good with painting, he's really, whatever it may be, but at the end I'm like, but I can't see it in my house. Like, nope, not even in my garage. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that definitely helps when it comes with you as an artist wanting to create something, because there are people who are really amazing and talented artists, but sometimes have a hard time getting their artwork sold. And so I feel like if I were to just give a tip or leave something with you guys, like when you do create something that's aesthetically pleasing, something that people can connect with, and then at the end of the day, it's like, can they see it in their house? And you can't make everyone happy, but at least you'll find a good audience of people who be like, man, I want your work. I love your work.
Well, the first thing is what got me to paint murals is when I was a teenager, I had a lot of problems in California, and I was tagging on the walls. And I got caught, and instead of my family doesn't know about this. I was sent to a mural club called Teen Mural Club, and whoever got caught tagging on the walls went to the club instead of going to the juvenile hall. And that's when I discovered that painting the mural, it was the only way that I felt freedom. And I was doing something that it was not getting me in trouble. And that's how I got into the murals, and plus creating something pleasing at the same time to help everybody around, especially because of the messages that we project in them, and because it's a universal language, everybody can understand it. Even if you don't speak or speak a different language, you can understand what is there because it's visual. The only thing that I feel bad about is that for people that cannot see. But we know that the majority of us, we see with our eyes, but a lot of time we are so blind. And that's why I got into the murals.
All right, so we have about 5 minutes to take a couple of questions. Anybody? Bullshit. Okay.
I'm pretty loud. So for some of those public posts about asking artists or muralists to do jobs for severely underpaid or not paid, a lot of times you as kind of more experts in the field might know that that's not a good project. How do you bring maybe emerging artists or someone who's like, maybe I'll try to do this because I've never done it before. This seems like, this $500 is a good deal for me. How do you bring them into that space where they understand that this really isn't a good deal, or like, hey, maybe try this because, someone's gonna take that job probably, and so that's perpetuating the culture of underpaying artists. So how do you bring them into the conversation to know that that's not really a good move or whatnot?
I think that something that's cool about our field is that mentorship is a pretty common practice, where I got started as an apprentice of an incredible artist. And we, in our Heartside project, hire apprentices every year to try to bring more people into the fold and into the know of what is and isn't an acceptable job. I know that there are ways that a certain job will be worth it to somebody that it might not be worth it to other people. If it's your first wall ever and the business can't pay you, but you really want your first wall, then that's worth it to you. I've done jobs like that where it was worth it to me to spend money to do the job. But the way that I kind of navigate that is trying to still be transparent about like what something would cost. So for example, not to throw anyone under the bus, but a certain mural I did at Rosa Parks Circle, I made $900 on that mural altogether after all the costs and
That's a big ass mural.
yeah. But it was a project that I was super, super passionate about. I really wanted that one to go up on the wall, and there was like so many environmental organizations that were backing it, so many other artists that were involved and that were kind of counting on me to pull the shit together, and for me that project was worth it. But at the same time, I did say to the building owners, I charge, this amount per square foot. This is what this wall should cost, and it's not $900. So at least if you can be like, here's full price. I am willing to do it for this much. You're still like stating your worth, while also being like, but this is worth it to me because I care about the subject matter, I care about this business, I care about this cause. And as long as you have a concept in your mind of where your worth is at, I feel like you can cut deals from there.
Again, like what you were saying, it really does depend on you as an individual and how you look at the process, how you look at the particular project. Because let's say for that $500, let's say the wall might have been like $500, the business owner was only able to provide. But, and then also you as an artist is new, you're new into it. It's usually going to be your very first mural, and it's a decent sized wall, right? So it's probably about like half this wall. I mean, I wouldn't tell the artist to do like $500 worth of wall if it was like this whole size. I'd be like, nah, don't do that. But, but like if they were supplying, so they supplied all the paint, utilities, all, the equipment, all the things, like they were to supply all those things and you really didn't come out of your pocket out of anything other than the time it took for you to create your creativity, and at the end of the day, you know, like you feel really good about like what you have created, especially that you starting, like that could be very well worth it. And then I will definitely push that for that artist, like, hey, like, being as like you try to mentor for another person and let them know like while you're doing this process or while you're learning, enjoy the process, but also learn your worth as you're moving forward, because then you start to look at things differently and you be like, okay, I'm not going to accept all like these starter projects or these little small budgets, because me as an artist, I am worth like my value or what I'm pushing or what I know I am. And so it's super interesting. I think there's many levels to it, or many like ways in which how to look at it, but by being part of a community of artists, we all look out for one another, and we always try to make sure that like you aren't being exploited, you're not being taken advantage of because it sounds good, you know what I mean? It looks beautiful, it's all colorful and stuff, but then once you start to get into the work, you're like, wow, this is way more than I thought I was getting into.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's, I think we're about out of time.
Yeah.